All right, all right, all right. Let's see how we're gonna do tonight. Let's see if we're even live. Okay, we got one. We got one. You might win some, but you just lost one. We got two, and we got three. So I'm gonna ask a question that I already know the answer to, and that's are we live? I said, are we live? Looks like we are. Vigilante Williamson here on the 179th episode of VW Casual. It's a Sunday night casual. Because I didn't feel like playing the game. I just got home from the gym. I'm fucking fried. My CNS is fried. I'm not. I'm sober, unfortunately. Well, not too sober. I did smoke. But still, I'm just like tired. So I want to keep Sunday. We're taking back Sunday like we're emo in the 2000s, which I don't know if anyone even gets that reference. There was a band called Taking Back Sunday, which got their name from TBS because that was a slogan they had. In any event, we're trying to establish Sunday as a day. Hey, we're going to get a stream tonight, hell or high water. So I want to keep the schedule going. There are a few things I kind of want to touch on. But otherwise, if there is anyone here, what do you want to talk about? If there is anything you guys want to talk about, Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's, happy Valentine's, happy Valentine's Day. So, Andre 3000 song. I guess you can call it an Outkast song. It was on a speaker box level below where they each did a solo album. So it was happy Valentine's Day yesterday, almost 2 days ago, as we leave Sunday into Monday. Hey, Retro Richard, appreciate you showing up. So hope you had a happy Valentine's Day or Lupercalia or whatever the fuck it's called, for real. I'm not a big holiday guy. Some of you may remember I was indeed raised a Jehovah's Witness, so that has impacted how apathetic I am for holidays. Sometimes New Year's can be fun. Sometimes it can be fun. Hey, speaking of happy Dinosaur. Appreciate you being here. It's called, what is the Roman pagan name for Valentine's Day? Let me look it up. Do I have, no. Let me see. It's something. I'm trying to type it in. The other thing. It's called, what did I say? Lupercalia. That's where Valentine's Day comes from. Lupercalia. It's an ancient pagan Roman holiday. It's a fertility festival from the 13th to the 15th. So I guess it's technically going on. I don't know if it's still. I'm sure some, one of the demons that eat babies that run this country probably care about that shit. Who knows? But they give it to us as a hallmark holiday called Valentine's Day. Minor relationships are obviously cooked. I noticed, like I said, I was at the gym. Shout out to Richard. I was shocked. Like, it's girls at the gym. It's always girls at the gym. Every now and again, it's a few cute ones. But it was a ton of cute girls at the gym today. Because it was Valentine's Day, Richard. I'm giving Richard the credit. Because if I get something, if I hear something that somebody I know says, and I know they said it, I tend to give them the credit, just in case. That's not your thing, that's fine. That's cool. Still love you. In any event, he said, yeah, it was Valentine's Day the other day. I can't remember the exact phrase, but, every girl didn't have a happy Valentine's Day the day before. So I'm happy with most. I've been watching wrestling shows. I've been out of it with wrestling. I keep trying to make time to watch AEW, but it comes on. I'm still working, and then I don't turn it on live. One of these days, I'm just going to catch it live. But you say you're happy with most wrestling shows. I've been watching except Raw and SmackDown. Every other show is doing everything I want. I'm sick of the big two. And when you say every other show, you're talking about NXT. You watch AEW yourself. I was the hugest wrestling nerd. I used to watch New Japan, ROH. This is pre-AEW. Pre-AEW, I was a bigger wrestling fan. I would watch indies. And of course, WWE, NXT. And now it's like I don't watch nothing. I didn't even watch all the Rumble. it's like I just lost my Peak 11 NXT, AEW, and TNA. Okay, that's what's up. I've been wanting to get back into AEW for a good few months because they had some pretty good shows last year. I watched some of the pay-per-views and they were pretty good. And I see highlights and stuff, but it's just been hard for me to really dedicate myself to getting back into anything consistently outside the gym. ESPN can kiss your ass. See, that's another thing, man. I your boy don't give a fuck about the law. And I don't mind streaming, but sometimes it's hard to get a wrestling stream. I don't know what it is. It was so much easier in the past. And now, I'm always fighting. It's easier for me to get the fucking Winter Olympics than fucking wrestling. Let's see. Shit, I wish I could record or watch a playback. I don't know. They're getting rid of, I think, what's his name used to have playback? HBO Max, but I think they're getting rid of it, so it doesn't matter. ESPN hates WWE. I'm sure they do. But they pay for it, so they get what they pay for. Everybody takes a nice boat ride every now and again. Now and then. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, who cares? They pay for this shit. I don't understand a lot of the fees these streaming services pay to a lot of these different properties, whether it's wrestling, whether it's UFC, whether it's baseball, basketball. It's just, even football, the numbers just don't seem like they add up. And I mean, then again, a lot of these streaming services don't profit. Isn't it crazy? A big corporation ain't got to profit. They ain't got to balance their books. But if you come up short on the rent, you come up short with taxes, you come up short on anything, it's a problem. They haven't graded one show even with a B. When you say graded, what do you mean? You think that none of the shows have even been B? What's Finn Gooley? I don't even know what that is. I've heard of The Pit. I didn't know that was an HBO Max show. Speaking of HBO Max, Cappy Dinosaur said that his brother mentions The Pit almost every time he talks to him because he loves that show because he's a paramedic. Okay, that's dope. Oh, ESPN grades the PLEs on their website. That's crazy to constantly not grade a property that you pay for that low. That's crazy as fuck. That is really crazy. But I mean, now we're starting to hear people want Vince back. I'm like, okay, you fake fuckers. Vin Gooley is a horror host. He's been a horror host for 45 years on MeTV. Never even heard of MeTV. That's crazy. That's cool. That's cool. I never, maybe I heard of it and forgot about it, but that's not something I'm immediately familiar with. So the Rumble got a D-. Like I said, I didn't even check it out. I kind of tried, but it was so much frustrating I wasn't going to pay. I may, depending on how much it is, pay for Mania just to have an easier stream. Not fighting with the interwebs. Saying with Brock, they didn't want Brock back even though he ain't do nothing. Why are people so mad at Brock Lesnar? All he did is get a text from a grown woman. There was no talk that he was even too into it. It's just that Vince is a weird motherfucker. And he had this, this chick he was tricking on. And he was really trying to save money and use this chick Badussy to save money for Brock. So, hey, you want some Badussy? And so she sent a video, and I don't even know if there was any response. He might say, what the fuck? No, I can't pay bills with Badussy. Want some fucking money. I don't know how Brock reacted. Yo, I'm scared of his daughter. She could take the Badussy from you, man. I don't know what happened with the genetics. Well, I do know what happened. Sables didn't even try. Shit. Just all Brock. Just crazy. MeTV is a Chicago broadcasting company. They even got a channel now called MeTV Tunes. I remember WGN back in the day. It was like a Chicago-based I think it was local Chicago, but they would always show it on cable, and they would show like the Cubs games and shit like that. The Grant, yeah, that's the chick's name. Isn't it over? Janelle Grant, ain't that over? See, you want to see who in WWE? Oh, you talking about his daughter? If his daughter coming to WWE, I mean, she's so dominant as a human. I mean, what the fuck is anybody gonna do? Who gonna stop her? And then I had showed you that one strong woman. She's like a Samoan chick. It's like if I listen. I don't know if you could train a Samoan chick, right? She was fucking huge. She was like lifting up like strong weights for a dude. It was like literally like the world's strongest woman type shit. Listen, I don't know if you could train her. I don't know if you could train whatever Brock Lesnar's daughter is. But like, you know, like dominant ass women like that are not. It's hard enough to get a dominant ass dude. Pause. In the WWE, it's just it's just not. Thing. No woman's getting pushed in this promotion. That's crazy. You know what? It was crazy because a few years ago, people used to think the opposite. I agree with you that no woman is really gonna get pushed in WWE right now. Nobody's really getting pushed in WWE. They're trying to push Drew. How effective does that feel? They've just failed, man. Triple H failed. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not saying, I don't know what to, not telling you, but just tell anybody. Triple H failed. Do I think he's the worst booker like everyone on the internet? No. I think booking wrestling, Triple H and Tony Khan have just taught us over the past 5, 6, 7, 10 years almost, that booking wrestling is a lot harder than we think. We gave Vince McMahon a lot of shit, and some of it's still rightfully so. Still don't understand that Fiend Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins and other booking. I could go a lot of Vince decisions that were stupid. But booking wrestling's hard. Because no matter what the fuck you write down, no matter what the fuck you come up with, you have to then get 60, 70 motherfuckers on board. And when one person's not on board, that affects other people. And you can spin a whole bunch of shit around just because one person either not on board or they get hurt or some crazy shit. And so it's hard to get a coherent story for 70 characters over 3 to 5 hours each week plus pay-per-views. That's very, very hard to book. It's crazy that we got even things like the Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression Era, but we forget, you know what? There was a reason a lot of shit was just one-on-one with the Undertaker player, because we got to fill this shit out week to week to week. And it's fucking tough work. And no matter who's doing it, whether it's Triple H and the team and Tony Khan and the team, and it's fucking tough. So we're never going to get perfectly booked wrestling. And so Vince was a mastermind. Yeah. We appreciate how difficult what Vince did really was. Because you're going to have bad decisions. It's like you're going to throw picks. You're going to fuck up because you can't book it perfectly the whole time. You just can't. And so you just almost got to live with the mistakes and just be able to keep going and live with the issues. And then somebody, I'm not getting pushed in the right time. And maybe you're right, but still. And that's another thing. There's been it seems like generation after generation, after the Ruthless Aggression, because that was a peak, because you had a lot of new people coming up, a lot of people who were coming up through the Attitude Era or before, meeting a lot of people who had still came up in previous generations, all together, all in one spot, all at one time. You know what I mean? Undertaker debuted in the 80s, Batista debuted in the 2000s, but they were both top guys in the Ruthless Aggression era. You know what I'm saying? So you had all that collection of talent all at once, and then once guys started to retire, I mean, who's going to replace them? And then you got the whole meta of wrestling, of who becomes a wrestler. There was no UFC in the 80s. So anybody who could have been a UFC fighter, they probably just did pro wrestling. There was no YouTube in the 80s. in the even into the 90s and 2000s, right? So anybody who had like a big personality would be pro wrestling. A guy like, especially I'm doing a little fitness thing, right? You ever see the guy Larry Wills? He's just a super strong, jacked black dude who's on YouTube. That's all he is. He's just jacked. And there's, he may be a pro wrestler in another multiverse in which YouTube wasn't available. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Ken Shamrock, he literally was wrestling before UFC existed. And then did UFC when he had the chance and then went back to wrestling. You know what I mean? So that's almost an example of what I'm talking about. He started out as a pro wrestler, but once he got the chance to do UFC, he said, fuck, I want to do real fighting. That opportunity, and I say it exists. You had Pancreas in Japan. You had a bunch of Muay Thai federations, Muay Thai only. You had some grappling shit. You had Tough Man, of course, boxing. So it wasn't like there was totally no place. But once the UFC came out, and once Pride and other stuff got popular, and now you have these multiple federations, Strike Force. Now you can, if that's what you want to do, you were wrestling in high school, instead of being Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar or Dolph Ziggler or Shelton Benjamin, these are all guys who wrestled, I think, even up to college. Now you just go to the UFC or you go to Strike Force, or even now you would go to Bellator or go to some other one if you can't make UFC, or go to your local thing to at least start. You're not going to go to a wrestling school. So I'm saying all that to say, the people who had the most charisma, who had the most, especially physical charisma and talent, can do it, they're not even trying out. Who's trying out? I mean, I don't want to say it, because you do have some guys who are in shape and care about it and still put in work, but you just got less of them. You got less of them. Most of the indie wrestling sphere the past 20 years have been kind of incel weaklings. I mean, I ain't trying to say it like I ain't came across some cool wrestlers even in the indies, because I did, you know what I mean? But it's just, I remember it was cool wrestlers in Charlotte that was just local to Charlotte, and they was cool and they could wrestle. But they ain't Batista, you know what I'm saying? They're not Randy Orton, they're not John Cena, they're not that level of guy. And you only get a few of those. You got so spoiled from the 80s into the 90s to the 2000s of having a roster where you might have 20 or 30 dudes who could all get over to millions of people. Scotty 2 Hotty was popular with millions of people. Buff Bagwell was popular to millions of people. Alex Wright doing his little dance. Gold Dust. Let alone the top guys. So it's like, you don't have that now. You may have a couple undercard guys, maybe R-Truth and Kit Wilson right now. He's having a little thing. Before that, a decade before that, you had the Heath Slater. I got kids. You'll get an undercard guy. What's the guy with no chin? You'll have guys like that pop up, and they'll be fun. Santino type guys. But, you used to have guys that, you just mentioned Ken Shamrock. Like you say, he could have been an NWA champion. A lot of people thought he could have been WWE champion. He might have even been close to it. You don't have 20 different guys that could win the championship right now. Please, you barely got one or two. And you can say, well, I really like Cody, or that's cool. Even in AEW, which I think has a little bit more talent, I don't know if they necessarily have the platform. They're getting it, though. It's just going to take, they're still a new federation. They're 7 years old now, but still, it just fucking takes time. Fucking takes time. It's going to take them another 10, 15 years to actually get somewhere, as bad as that sound. Hopefully they get enough time to do it. But even with them, it's just like, it's hard to find these crossover stars. We were used to guys crossing over, right? And maybe MJF, he did the little Adam Sandler thing. Maybe he has some of that. I'm not saying none of these guys do. But again, they're not 10, 15, 20 deep, 30 deep. And so, do you want to pay $5,000 to see a bunch of mid wrestlers and a bunch of mid matches with mid storylines? Nah. So that's where it is. So sorry for my rant on wrestling. It started from this comment. Richard said people bitch about the PG era, but in reality it wasn't talent. And hey, Fizz, I ain't say hey because I was ranting, but I appreciate you being here. Again, we talk about the women who could wrestle and held back. 9% of the bitches who was there was so bad, held the real talent back. That was definitely a thing. And I think that's, we circled all the way back to that still is a thing. Because it's like, if you just kept the women that had talent, your women's division probably going to be 8 to 10 girls. And maybe that's cool, but that's not what they sold a lot of bullshit. Like you said, the women's revolution was... Women's revolution was a scam, but they've been running that scam. Speaking of YouTube, might make your next movie review sometime next week. I didn't know you was doing movie reviews. Plug your channel, Happy Dinosaur. Plug your channel. Maybe your first negative review. College is a scam unless you want to get a medical or legal diploma. I agree. College should not be nowhere near as expensive. All this talk about debt forgiveness and all that, and I'm not knocking it. I understand it. But why have we not attacked the cost and the effectiveness of a college degree? We have not societally done anything about that, and something needs to be done. Yeah, a lot of those indie guys are now retiring. Say it to my face, Alex Riley. Oh, I didn't know Ken Shamrock won the NWA championship. I remember Dan Severn did. I didn't know Ken Shamrock did. Cody and Reigns, only guys worthy to be WWE champion. Well, they got Drew. Doesn't he still have it? Jacob Fatu is championship material. Well, they done gassed themselves that he is. They got mad when Jey Uso had the world. They gonna get mad. I mean, they just gonna get mad. They just gonna get mad. There is a certain charm for underdog. That's true. Tired Sami Zayn being underdog. Happy Dinosaur says Sami Zayn is the underdog. He just got low self-esteem and low IQ. That's crazy. Like, what is Natalya in 2013 supposed to do with Eva Marie? Eva Marie, she was a cute girl. You know what part of the problem is? Some of these women were supposed to be valets and managers instead of all making them all wrestle. Keep them as managers. You got a decent amount. You got 200 subs. Oh, shit, you do your thing. Happy Dinosaur. Check out. You got reviews of Little Mermaid, the original Fly from '58, a bunch of different stuff. Nacho Libre, The Phantom Menace, Terminator Salvation, which is, I thought was mid, but on the better side of the post. I don't know if people consider the third one. I like the third one. After those first three, though, it hasn't been the same. Really after the first two. But after the first three, for sure, it hadn't been the same. I think Salvation is one of the better ones after the first three, though. If that's the one I remember with my man Christian Bale crashing out at the on set. But yeah, check it out. And shout out to the AI mod hitting the bots and kick. Like Salvation, everything after was terrible. Yeah, that's what I think too. Fizz. I can't take Drew seriously. I had said that. I said this, and I've said the fact that I said this to you when they booked that match. I said, "Damn, Drew has to win it or he's cooked." And you say he was already cooked, and I kind of already agreed. But it's like they kept Drew is like 1 in 50 in fucking championship matches, and I'm probably exaggerating some, but I'm sure it's in double digits of these losses over the past years. You just lose after lose. Like you said, you just can't take a guy seriously. You just can't take a guy seriously after that. And they gave him the belt to shock. I kept saying, that's nothing I kept saying, the belt need to move a little bit more, but I don't know if this was the right timing. Thanks, Vigilante. Happy Dancers, no problem. Please check out his channel. It's in the chat. He linked it. Terminator Salvation was the one with the Christian Bale rant. Problem Salvation was the last time Terminator wasn't trying to rehash T2. Yeah, it was honestly one of the more original ones because we're finally in the future. Finally, John Connor. He's not a kid anymore. He's not, he's a full and capable adult. You're seeing why he's supposedly quote unquote the chosen one, or why he's supposed to, be humanity's only hope. He's ready to go, and he's pretty badass actually in that movie. He was already cooked. Everybody knew he was going. I didn't know because like you said, I'm like, well, if he's already cooked, then he shouldn't win. But then what he did, I'm like, okay, so why did y'all bury him so bad beforehand? Y'all shouldn't. If you were going to put the belt on him, he should have got the belt a while ago. Instead of taking all these extra L's, or even a single extra L, he's just taking too many L's. But you said he's already cooked with that. He lost so much, but the way he won made it worse. Yeah, it did make it worse. With Fatu, they just need a comeback. Sometimes they just be trying to shock people, and it's like, man, you need coherent storylines. Drew McIntyre's the meme of that guy on the podium, showing at the end he's on third place. Yeah, he really is. Like Salvation for 3 reasons. It felt like a 360 game. It kind of did. Didn't rehash Cheat 2. It didn't. It had creative robot design. Yeah. But, obviously, it's still, I have this saying about movies that you could, and I may have actually seen this movie this way. This is a younger crowd. I realize everybody here is younger. Y'all may not understand. So, cable, y'all understand, right? And there was channels like FX and Spike and cable that would sometimes just play a movie midday. And it may be a movie that you missed in theaters. Like, oh, I didn't see G.I. Joe in theaters, but they're playing it here on Spike on a Saturday afternoon. And, okay, I watched it, and it was actually pretty good. Let's say it's something like that. It was in that type of class of movie where you're like, oh, man, I'm not doing anything, but Spike TV has it on. I'll check it out. And, oh, man, that was actually pretty good. And that's the class of movie I think it is. It's not something that you need to go out and see first day when it comes out in theater. It's not a classic, but it's a pretty good movie. That's how I felt about that fucking Judge Dredd movie that everybody loved. Like, it's okay. If I would have saw it on Spike in 2009, I'd have been happy to see it, but it wasn't this great film. Cool that he kept his mask on all the time. That's not that big of a deal. Even though I'm not even on this. I remember Spike TV, 1,000 Ways to Die. I do remember that some. I didn't watch it all the time, but, again, if it's just on, you toss it. They had all these weird. Now they got channels that do that. What's the one? Like Chubby Emu or something. But, like, they'll say, oh, man, this guy drunk 50 energy drinks and his heart stopped or something shit. And this masked man shit. Hey, don't belittle my people. Stop this Americano thing. They do got to move this storyline. They do got to move that storyline on. Jacob Fatu is not a shot. Dustin Rhodes is. You know who else would have been a shot? Jericho. What the fuck happened to him? Where is he? Does he? I know sometimes he does a cruise. Is he doing that cruise again? Like, where the fuck is Jericho? Saw Terminator Salvation in theaters with your dad before he got dementia. Oh, man. But he hated it. I liked it. I see. Everything is either overrated or underrated now. In between. Yeah. Yeah. There is that. Well, when something is even decent, it feels like a surprise, so people get pretty amped about it. Didn't see the second Disney Predator, Badlands. I know the first movie, not to rehash either of the first two. I see. Wait, didn't they have another, like Prey or something? It was like a prequel? Or I don't know if it was a prequel. But I believe she was like a Native American or like something, or Aztec or something. And I didn't see that, but some people thought that was okay. So I would imagine if that was one, how could they rehash? I guess you are rehashing the jungle theme. If she was an Aztec, I think they may have rehashed some of that. So I don't know. 2026 is the year of retirement. Sometimes you just had those years where it's like, okay, this whole generation's moving up. Prey was a rehash of one, but in colonial times. Gotcha. So I guess, yeah, it is a rehash. You see, you hope Jericho goes to Japan. Whatever happened to WWE signing a deal with New Japan? Which, hey, they had a deal back in the 80s. when New Japan was still a younger company, because they only started like 76, and they used to have Inoki used to be a part of WWE. Fucking Hogan used to be in New Japan, so WWE definitely had a connection to New Japan way back in the day. I know. Well, we say it ended in the 80s, and they also rehashed it in the mid 90s. I only say that because the perception is, and I've even heard it said, "Oh, Vince doesn't even know what New Japan is." It's like, yeah, he knew about it before you were probably born, my guy. He's well aware of New Japan. He's done stuff in New Japan. He's done stuff with AAA. I remember it was '97 Rumble. They had a lot of luchadors from AAA filled because they were in a pretty tough time that early '97. They got kind of stable halfway through, but the beginning of '97 they didn't really have everybody on the roster. A lot of people that went over to WCW because they were paying more. So he had to do it. I think it was AAA, maybe CMLL. But yeah, that perception, and I get it, Vince. He can be old, he can be eccentric, but yeah, he knew about all these companies. He knew about all these companies. He used to read all the different magazines back in the day. The one guy who talks the most shit, Dave Meltzer, Vince used to pay him. Vince used to pay him all the shit he talks about WWE. And we talk about if you do follow him, a lot of people think he's an AEW shill. He used to be a WWE shill back in the day. He was on the WWE or WWF payroll in the 90s, believe it or not. But again, I'm just saying that because I just remember, especially in the late 10s, you had a lot of indie. That was the New Japan, and Dave Meltzer was like the indie incel. I ain't gonna say incel, but just the indie wrestling starter kit. And the perception is that Vince was just so out of touch, not knowing like he did this shit way. He was involved with both. He had his ear to the street back in the day. Now at a certain point he stopped. But you talk about the 90s and 80s, he had his ear to the street of the pulse of what was going on in wrestling, not just in America but around the world. Now as they became corporate, he fell out of touch with that. But yeah, he did make the light heavyweight due to inspiration of that style. But yeah, like you said, deal in the 80s, but he had his ear to the street for real, more than a lot of people would think up until the 90s and 2000s. Even think about, how does a guy like CM Punk get signed? If Vince knew nothing, and Vince sometimes was big time motherfucker, I don't know who you are, but how the fuck did you get a deal? How are you and Daniel Bryanson getting deals if he knows nothing about the indies? He's paying you, he's giving you a fucking check. He at least seen a match. He just talks shit. Why wouldn't he talk shit? He ain't about to glaze nobody. I think a lot of people just don't realize, that's Vince's personality. But you wouldn't be getting a check if he didn't know who the fuck you were. He's going to pay you. And even those checks back then, they was making six figures in 2000s money. That's pretty good money. Think he's going to pay you $150,000 and not know who the fuck you are? Get the fuck out of here. He sounds stupid. He may tell you he don't know who you are because he's not going to, he ain't going to glaze you. You know who the fuck you is. You wouldn't be in the fucking building. Megan Thee Stallion's getting a cartoon? That's crazy. These thought rappers are the most speaking of people getting over pushed, the thought rap wave ended. You had WAP. That was the biggest moment in the thought rap era. I mean, I see Itchy Red has that Billy, not Billy. She has a Beat It cover meme thing going around. She went with Linoleum. I don't know about Cardi B's last album. I didn't keep up with it. But I know a lot of these bitches having sold things. Sukihana went Linoleum. They doing my numbers. Called Hotties. They forgot the first T. But yeah, I don't think they keep pushing these bitches. I get it. Gotta shut down society. Gotta make it all bad. Gotta train women to be whores. Cool. But like, no one cares. We're done. The wave is over. You're right. It takes them a lot of time to realize when the wave is over. The wave is over, but people controlling on for 5 years later. God, I feel like it's been over. Like, golly, can y'all start noticing this shit? Shit. But that's crazy. I did not know that. People mad as fuck. Matt Cardona never became world champion. Now he's back. He's getting buried by. I love Kit Wilson. Fucking toxic. He nails the male feminist things. Fucking, he's perfect. He's perfect. He understands. When people say understand the assignment, he understands the assignment. Longest reviews are comic reviews, mainly most analytical. You're interested in those. I keep my reviews under 4 minutes, but enough said about my reviews. Hey, feel free to plug. Have you actually read, because as much as I talk shit about, I've never read any of the Absolute series, and if so, what are your thoughts? Vince would talk shit to say, yeah, see if he was worth his time. He was known for doing that shit. And I think it happened to the extent where these wrestlers thought, oh, he doesn't know what's going on. I mean, he may not know every single fucking detail. He may not know everything. But he knows who you are. You're not getting it. Again, this is a guy. If he wasn't good with how he spent his money corporately, the WWE wouldn't exist. I'm not sure about his personal life when it comes to these hoes. But he's not gonna spend $400,000 for a wrestler, and even though they don't get insurance, I mean, anytime you get an injury, he pays for it. You're as good as insurance, and it's probably more expensive than what my little company paid for me insurance, because I'm not gonna tear my ACL on Raw tomorrow. I'm not gonna, or even sprain my ankle on SmackDown the next week. You know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck. So he ain't putting all that money for somebody he just heard of. He's watched your matches, bro. Yeah, we'd be talking about Ted Turner right now if Vince didn't know how to spend his money and didn't do no fucking research. But, people love that narrative, and now everybody wants Vince back. So that's how it goes. People in charge don't even watch their propaganda. Yeah, that's true. They definitely, a lot of them get nose blind. And some of it I do understand, right? I mean, we got the dead internet theory plus the human dead internet theory, where the human bots. So it's like, well, we just see a lot of attention. We don't know if it's negative or positive, even if it is negative or positive, because it's just a bunch of motherfuckers talking shit, and they'll talk shit about everything. So who the fuck? How can we have no way of parsing this? As long as the financial numbers are up, we're just gonna run with it, because. Now, I will say again, going back to the thought rap, I think the numbers are starting to dwindle. Though that social media spike, I think that gets a lot of companies mixed up. Because you could get anything to spike on social media. That doesn't mean there's a viable financial wave behind it. But have not read the Absolute series. I've read a preview of Absolute Superman. Made you ill. Don't care to bother with the Absolute comments. He's probably said thank you just to. I was wondering, because I'm like, man, the Absolute series look absolutely shitty, but it's getting so much hype. They lied, and you probably know more about comics. Do you believe that the Absolute series has sold, what was it, 8 million copies last year? I mean, shit, I don't even know if I believe DC sold 8 million copies, including like reprints of classic material. So, and reprints of like omnibuses and shit like that, including that. I don't know if they sold 8 million, but they think they told the people they sold 8 million of the whole Absolute series and 3 million of Batman, Absolute Batman. Yeah, I don't even know if I believe they sold 80K of anything. I could believe they sold 80K omnibuses in a year. That's everybody. That's like everyone from Question to Supermans. But I can't believe they sold 80K, let alone 8 million of the Absolute series. That's just unreal. But that's what they said. So whatever, man. Whatever. It's not my business. That's under fucking contract to Netflix and or Paramount or whatever the fuck's going on. Hosts talk shit behind the President Production Service for Sonya Deville. That's crazy. That is crazy. She was getting stalked. Shout out to the question. That's true. That is true. The comic shop get extorted in. As if not being in denial. Question. Yeah, his social media presence. I think he's helped. The way comics work is comic shop buys it first, then the fans. If anything, they overshipped and claim hot sales. That's also true. Doesn't look all that exciting, but looks better than the other absolute titles. Whatever that's worth. It just looks. They all look crazy. I don't know. Unfortunately, if it falters, they'll have to take some massive L's. But a lot of times they have to. What it is there are certain covers and certain big ticket items that will sell. And a lot of these comic shops, they have to order a certain amount, a certain minimum from the company in order to get some of these items. And and listen, sometimes you can make it work. So if it's the special super duper edition and you put a grade on it, maybe you could charge $100 to a goofy who wants to collect every cover. And that'll make up for the 50 that you didn't sell, whatever it is. I don't know what the price that you're paying, as opposed to what it sells for. But so that is a scam. Absolute Superman literally kills people for workers' rights. That's what's up. That's what's up. Communism is the answer, obviously. Everyone should be a communist. Now, listen, and I say that obviously facetiously. I think that's the right word. That's not to say capitalism. I mean, obviously capitalism is a shithole too. But, because humans suck. It doesn't even look cool. It just looks like do whatever you want and make it look crazy. Yeah, pretty much. That's how it works. All my local comic shops sell back issues. Yeah, back issues is where the money is. Manga's where the money, and toys. And, that's why, a lot of people, Funko Pop going out of business, man. Funko Pop was keeping a lot of comic shops and GameStops and a lot of places in business as just an easy, candy bar equivalent purchase. There's a comic store. There's a few actually within 20 minutes, but there's one not too far. I haven't gone back in a while. And man, speaking of Valentine's, one thing I did see, there was a fucking Valentine's sale for McFarlane Toys. It wasn't a lot to, I don't know. It just wasn't there was nothing to really ride home about as far as the sales goes. I might have got something, I like toys, and I say that I just had a pre-order for that's coming for a Kuma Street Fighter. I saw they had a video game version of Juggernaut from I don't know if it was from X-Men versus Marvel or Marvel versus Capcom, Street Fighter versus X-Men, or the Children of the Atom. I don't know which game it came from, but it's $65, and I get Juggernaut as a larger toy, but $65, I can't do it, man. 65, and this is not the high detailed. This is not the Hot Toys version of Juggernaut. This is the standard one. State has like 4 comic shops every time you go. It's mostly back issues, manga, tabletop, with 25% modern comics. That's how they gotta survive. Nobody wants modern comics. And like I said, the comic shop I think near me is doing okay. There's card shops, there's a lot of shit around here. I still haven't gone to the Gunpla shop that's near where I get my dog's haircut. They got a Gunpla shop, and part of me wants to get back. If I can figure out this house shit and move, I might get back into Gunpla. Comic book, man, people need comics. People would love a modern comic that hit. At least the 4 your part of staying check in Philly. Well, Philly's got a rep. But yeah, there's a few even in this suburb. There's a lot of even in the suburb, man. Which the suburb is getting less suburban, man. As I'm trying to do this home ownership thing, I know I've been talking about that in recent episodes. We'll see how it's working. It's not going great. Not going great. But shout out to Yoga Girl from Detroit. She's from West Bloomfield, but she dated a dude in Detroit, and so that's how she ended up there. In any event, I'm seeing, as I think about being here long term, I've already been here like 4 or 5 years. Well, no, got here 22, so 4 years. 4 years in March, or April, March. It was the end of March, beginning of April. I ain't no suburb. I'm practically in the forest. I'm in the suburb. West Bluefield's outside Detroit. But I mean, it's just white girls in the D too. Or, shout out to Redford. Shout out to other little areas and suburbs. But what was I going to say? I'm noticing, man, and I know it's getting worse everywhere, but it's like, damn, this little suburb had a couple recent shootings. I just gave the guy like $20 outside the fucking grocery store. And the grocery store been had motherfuckers sleeping outside of it and shit. And, I feel for people. Jaden Aiden. Yo, that's crazy. Shout out to Jaden Aiden. Little light-skinned mulatto young gentleman. No, $20 in this economy. Man, I fell for the bad. And that's another thing. So maybe he was lying to me, but I don't even know. He said, man, I'm just trying to get a room. I'm not saying it's joking. I'm saying it's funny. It's still funny. But he's just trying to get a room so he don't have to sleep in the street. He said the room was $75. I'm like, God damn. And he might have been lying. I gave him 20. Which he lucky he got. But you know what? If I have it, I try to give it to him. If I don't, I don't. If I didn't have it, I would have had to, I'd have looked the other way, and I hate to do it, but it's like, man, I'm a half a step away from you, man. I wish you the best. I'm a half a step. If my job say something this coming week or any day, it's over. I'm in the same boat you are. You know what I'm saying? I am one person's decision away from being where you are. I'm not high, the floor in the ceiling or wherever. It's not. I'm not high enough. I'm not living large. I ain't got it. But if it's a little bit in my account, and the Most High has blessed me many times, so I was like, all right, if I got it, I'll toss somebody some money. But it's like. Yeah, and then, we ain't got cash now. It's the cashless society. And you started to see more homeless. And it's just like, man, life is getting more and more fucked up. I'm trying to stay positive. I went to the gym. Going to the gym is starting to, I'm still scared to hop on the scale, but body composition is positive. These are new sweatpants that are the same size as every other sweatpants I bought. And, I could barely keep them up, pause, because they don't really fit. I'm starting to slim down a little bit. So, it's something positive in my life. I'm trying to be positive. But I'm noticing the area getting a little, I don't want to totally oversell it either. And it's not like I ain't lived in some crazy areas, but it's just like, man, I'm not really trying to, invest in a crazy area. Not that this is, but it's just everybody want to be in the Houston area, and so it's just as everything expands, as this area keep expanding, and Houston has still so much land, and the suburbs there's just still so much stuff to develop. It's like, man, more and more people, and it's just it's just more and more people. Even this little suburb area, they say it's like 300,000 to 500,000. It's only a few people in the suburb. We just take the general area, 300,000 to 500,000. It ain't just them I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around nobody, really. That's what you misunderstand. I don't have this high opinion of every other nationality. Like, oh, everything's just going to be cool because I'm not around. Nah. Maybe some. I know there's motherfuckers who think like that. Like, oh, as long as, the right folks. But I don't trust the right folks. I don't trust Jaden Aiden or his mom. I don't trust them. I don't trust nobody. DTA, shout out to Stone Cold. I'm talking about wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Don't trust anybody in this motherfucker. But when motherfuckers is shooting, it's like, goddamn. And then you can't find I can't find nowhere to hoop. And apparently that's a nationwide thing. They taking down hoops because of ninjas. Like, y'all know how cool of a fitness thing basketball is. And basketball is just one of the easiest things to get in shape. There should be hoops that they're not that expensive to put up. And y'all fucking that up because you think you're going to make the NBA from some fucking LA Fitness. and you're crazy, or you can't play defense, so you got to foul all the time, and you get somebody mad and I'll fight you. Well, thanks, bro. Well, now none of us can hoop ever again, you jackass. Unless you are Jaden Braden and you live in some suburban area and you have a fucking skills coach and your mom pays like 20 grand for AAU. So those are the only motherfuckers that can hoop at all now. Thank you, you fucking moron. But yeah, fuck the skill, keep going with it. Yeah. Sometimes people say, look at the scale, look at the scale. I think if I learn nothing is you have to do what is best for you when it comes to fitness. There's a billion ways to skin the cat. You got to find the one that you're going to actually do, be consistent with, and that you want to do in everything, rather it's your diet, rather it's your training / exercise, how much, how little, as long as you're consistent. And, do your own research to what works, rather it's you're doing the keto thing. I'm trying to do an intermittent fasting thing, and be a little bit more mindful of like hormones and stuff like that. Training is, I do like the gym. So that's cool. I am still adjusting because I still get pretty sore. But yeah. Scale broke. I clearly continue to lose weight with a broken scale. I see. A lot of times your body composition can change quite a bit, even if the scale doesn't. Or you might have a broke scale. I don't know. These scales, like you said, lots of stuff is cheap. A lot, especially if I'll tell you one thing that's routinely cheap, and that's why I ended up not getting any like heart rate monitor. A lot of that shit is bullshit. Rather it's your phone, rather it's a Fitbit. They'll just tell you whatever. Those things are not accurate. Like the little home heart rate monitor, little bands, or little, Apple Watch or a phone or a Fitbit or like an alternative. A lot of that shit they just telling you whatever the fuck they feel like. It has nothing to do with anything. Just lying to you, telling you how many calories you burned and shit like that. Just making shit up. Just making shit straight up. Yoga girl is a hero in the Snow Bunny community. Shout out to the Snow Bunnies. Rather have a snow bunny than nobody. No. Went to the church today, seeking wisdom. Got the worst priest imaginable. Took 40 minutes to say getting a boner is a sin against God. And it's cheating to marry to divorce. Wow. No, I'm good, but I appreciate it. I'm not knocking it. I'm sure your diet is worse. But I'm just, like I said, I got to find what works for me, man. Because trying to do something that works for somebody else don't always work for me. I'm getting there. Left during Mass. Honestly, I don't know if you should marry to divorce. I don't know about getting a boner. That's a bit much. Yeah, that's between, nobody should be knowing, unless your wife or significant other. That's not nobody else's business. Just try to hide that motherfucker. If you in sweatpants or shorts, I don't know, but that's crazy. Wow. But honestly, I kind of agree I don't know if it's cheating to marry to divorce, but I kind of agree. I don't think, man, it's supposed to be death do its part. If you get married and then you get divorced, man, I'm sorry, you still your husband's. You still belong to your husband. I'm sorry, man. Think he was senile. And listen, there's a lot to be said about relationships and how biblical they are and aren't. I mean, geez, I'm not trying to morally police anything, but I think society was a lot better when sex before marriage was at least taboo. Did it still happen? Of course it did. It did, it has, it would. But it was at least given some amount of respect to some extent, and still instead of thought of as something that doesn't even matter. And Lord knows, with all the single motherhood and all the other traumatic things that we've normalized, that it still does, like to some level. I'm not trying to morally police anybody. I just think there's at least you got to make, you let him hit it raw. You didn't have second thoughts. Maybe you have second thoughts before letting him hit it raw in a society where they're still shunned. Oh, you don't want to be known as a floozy. You know what I mean? And now it's just like, 50 is not a bad body count. It's like, okay, man, it's your body, your spirit. I mean, once you start putting up a certain numbers and then you start talking about the odds of transmission, I mean, once you get to a certain point, you're hitting 100 because you're hitting at least one. So, hey, that's a risk. That's a risk, Richard. I'm not saying that you say you stay a virgin, you marry. Hey, what's his name? What's the man from the Lakers? Out of all people, is it AC Green? Michael Cooper? One of them. Maybe it was Michael. Was it Michael Cooper? Maybe it was Michael Cooper. He alleged, at least that's what he's told people. Way to marriage, you've been wilding on the same girl. I mean, shit. If we're being totally biblical, I'm not trying to police somebody. I'm not saying I've been perfect as a human being. If we're being honest, as I understand it, and if you think what I'm saying is incorrect, that's fine. Technically, at the most technical person, the first person you have sex with technically is supposed to be your wife. And what I mean is, once you have sex with that girl, is supposed to be your wife, unless she's not your first either, or y'all supposed to be each other first for that reason. Because if you're the second guy, then her first technically is her husband. If we going purely spiritually biblical, as I understand it, now that's obviously not how it ends up going. But that's technically, and you see a tendency for a lot of women to still have some strong connection to their first. Long after. There's a reason. You ain't supposed to, people aren't even supposed to have body counts over 1 to be 1,000. Again, not trying to morally police, not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you how stuff works. Soul ties are a thing. And we know they're a thing because we know how attached people can get to other people. So it's like, I didn't make us this way. I was given this world. I didn't make it. And I'm not telling you to be perfect. I'm telling you to work, that there is something to that. There's just something to it. Yeah, and that's the thing. I get that too. Sometimes the first, or it doesn't always work out. I understand that. Nobody's perfect. Hopefully you don't have a deep soul tie with another person long term. My first wasn't great. There's a lot of, I'm not trying to tell nobody how to live or what they should or shouldn't do. But I believe there's and it comes from, and I could have a misunderstanding. I'm not perfect. But from what I can understand, not just from the Bible, but from what I've seen in life, I definitely think this having tons and tons of sexual partners thing is not good. It's just not good for the spirit. It's not good for the body. It's not good for your ability to pair bond. And I'm not picking a gender out. I didn't say women, men. I don't think anyone should be just like running through people. That's not criticizing nobody. That's not saying everybody's going to be perfect. But, the more you do that, the worse it is. And I think that's a safe statement to make. That the less respect you have for sex and relationships, the worse. The more respect you have, the better. There's a middle ground. Yeah, there is a middle ground. The more respect, the more you're doing it with some earnestness, and not just pussy ain't got no face, or I'm just trying to get a Birkin bag, or whatever the fuck motivation, or I'm just, some girls literally are trying to get a high body count because they think they're trying to use, because a lot of them have a distorted view of a man. They think it's either some way to compete with men, sometimes it's ways to compete with each other. amongst their own girlfriends. They're trying to outdo each other. That's a thing. Men do it. No, you not to this rate. Statistically, that's not true on any level whatsoever. There's no statistical, not anymore. We'll say, maybe they did, but in the 2010s on, girls have way more partners, have way more sexual experience on average, and in fact, the average male didn't have sex last year. And if we just go off of this chat, myself included, there was only 1 in 4 of us have. So, like, we as this a conversation, bear that to be true. So, but if there were 4 women, that would not be the case. And I'm not trying to knock women to say that. I mean, shit, life's short as well. You got to experience what you experience. Brandon Holland is not one of them. So you've changed those odds. We're 2 for 5. So 40%, which is Curry's shooting percentage. Okay, so but yeah, your boy ain't I can't even remember, bro. It's been a minute. Slump Buster. So I feel bad for y'all. Appreciate you being here, Brandon Holland. There was something Houston related. Oh, I saw the fucking, and I don't want to totally dox myself. I try to sometimes have some ambiguity in which part of Houston I'm in. But I saw the fucking they want to, the Texans, they're moving to, is that Fort Bend? They're moving out. And that's gonna suck. Let's just say it's not near me, but it's nearish me, and it's near enough-ish me, and it's gonna suck. I think they're moving around where 99 and 290 meet. And it's gonna suck because it's not just that they're moving that facility there. They're gonna eventually move the stadium there. That's why they're moving the facility first. The newest state, and I don't know if it's 2030, 2031, they're going to put the stadium out there. They're going to put it out there. So we'll see. I think harem are more common than straightforward couples. Yeah, you have the situationship. You have the throuple. You have a lot of stuff going on. The roster. Not sure that's good for the spirit, body, or the mind. And I think there's a lot of not just biblical text, but even scientific text that would agree with me. Again, I ain't telling you to just be perfect. Nobody's perfect, but also, there's a middle ground between, never having sex and, just fucking everything that moves. And you got to at least aim for the middle, at least. How our team's going to move in 5 years? We'll see. I mean, we're going to need it. Right now, we're still, you remember what you just said about it takes the powers to be a longer time to realize something? We still, and even though you're starting to get fight back, I remember San Antonio, and I don't know what happened with that. The Spurs won a new stadium, and the mayor did not just give it to them. She was a pushback. She wanted to see numbers. Now, I'm not sure since then if she just caved. But there was still some pushback, and there were some people even in the city that pushed back. They didn't just say, oh, yeah, the Spurs, yeah, just take the stadium. It was like, hey, I don't know. Let's look at the numbers. Let's see if this is even something that's actually economically viable for the city, which it's not always. Sometimes it's a fucking trap, and you're paying a ton of money for a company to make a bunch of money, or a private equity fund or whatever the hell they have as ownership, making a ton of money, and you're not making a dime off of it, even after taxes. So it's just a real hassle for the city, and it's just, or whatever, wherever they have it. But some people still sign up. So I don't know how long it's going to take for these cities to smarten up to, hey, that's not even a worthwhile investment. I mean, you have and listen, if you talk about even your boy when he was in Cleveland, the first and the second time, LeBron, that had a positive economic impact on Cleveland, especially the first one. So sometimes it could be positive, but then other times it's not. I think Pittsburgh Shout out to Forbidden Rumors. Sometimes he tells us about that. I think they have some crazy tax situation. They turn relationships from mortgages to Airbnbs. Yeah. The situationships. Howdy, Tom Jensen. Good for you. As simple as that sounds, Richard, good for you. A lot of men can't do that, and that's a huge reason we got to where we got. There were women back in the day that if they didn't have, they would just never be penetrated. They would go their whole life and that's just it. Spinster. That was a thing, and that actually happened. That doesn't happen anymore. There were no 800-pound women because a chick couldn't be like 240 and get smashed, let alone 3, 4, 5, 6, 600-pound life got a husband. How? Well, because somebody a hit. I'll hit that shit. Somebody a hit. And that concept of somebody a hit has destroyed society. Now we can't reproduce. Somebody a hit. It has to happen. That cycle has to swing back. Every woman can't reproduce. And I'm not talking about because of disease or death. Some women who are of such a low standard, you have to not be a thirst ball and not do anything with that woman lest you risk reproduction. And some men shouldn't reproduce. Now that's a lot easier because not every man is not going to reproduce anyway. But most women over the past 80 years have, and they shouldn't have. Some bloodlines got to die off. And I say that my individual one might. There's other people in my family having kids, but my individual one might. That's how it goes. It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen, man. That's dark, but it's reality. And if any gender just reproducing wantonly, if every single woman gets to reproduce, you know how many weird fucking losers we're gonna get, male or female? Because you fail. You're supposed to fail, and thus you're eradicated. Vadoosh, you're gone. So that's just how it's supposed to go. Women have standards. Men are supposed to have standards. And by you being eradicated, there's less bullshit in the world. Because the idea is, if you can't be a productive member of society, productive enough to be able to be in a stable home, male or female, you don't get one. And that doesn't always happen. But some of us are not supposed to reproduce. I'm not trying to be dark. It ain't the end of the world. It doesn't mean you got to be. Nikola Tesla, I don't think, has any offspring. Right? No, not a Mr. A team up. I'm not saying murk them. I'm just saying you shouldn't reproduce. It just shouldn't happen. And maybe not even me. Sometimes I wonder what my mate is, but I got some improving to do before I look and get. Same here. I'm trying to get this weight down, trying to get this home situated. Then I'm trying to find another source of income. Then after that, depending on where I am, I may give it one more go before we give up completely. I read about a couple who were wanting a baby, didn't know why they couldn't. After the interview was revealed, they were sleeping in separate beds and apparently didn't know about sex. That's wild. That's wild work. Okay, that's pretty extreme. That's pretty extreme. A lot of mutants we get, yeah, and we got a lot of mutants as a result. Everybody just pussy ain't got no face. That's how we got all these mutant motherfuckers now, because pussy ain't had no face. Somebody who wasn't supposed to be another one, they got like 10 of them now. Men raising standards, we wouldn't be here. Yeah, we got to start raising men to have standards. And listen, we should raise women to have standards. We should raise people to have standards and live with their standards. Live with your standards, and it's why it's important for you and the rest of society. I fear not for your bloodline. Your sister has a daughter. I love your niece. Family bloodline continue. Mainly, you fear on passing autism, schizophrenia. I'm sorry to hear that. Losing weight and learn how to drive. Good luck with both. Good luck with both. Mom did a good job telling you no ugly bitches. Oh, that's crazy. Some people, listen. I'm not saying ugly people. If you're a good ugliness shouldn't preclude somebody from necessarily reproducing. I'd much rather toxic personalities of attractive people not going, but realistically that's just not how it works. But listen, ugly people should pair with ugly. If you find you another ugly man, that's another thing. Motherfuckers be crossing genetics. It's too many ugly bitches who can get plowed by somebody way outside their league, and now because they can get plowed by somebody out their league, they think they deserve to be married by somebody out their league. Some fucking Iowa 2 gets smashed by a rapper on tour, and now she thinks she deserves somebody with a Bentley. Fuck. You know what I mean? So, that's how you end up with girls with crazy standards. But then again, she's still an Iowa 2, so she's still getting pregnant by a fucking homeless person. She shouldn't even be getting pregnant. She shouldn't even be getting smashed. She should be a spinster, but it is what it is. So I don't know. Or she should find her a little Iowa 2 husband and have a bunch of, a litter of uglies with him. But instead, she's somebody's baby mama. So it is. I have to have as many kids as possible since last year bloodline can't have children. I see. Pretty face don't need no pretty heart. I don't think I know that song. At least not offhand. The chopped of us. I'm one of the chopped of us. Listen, I'm talking all this shit. I am not gonna win the sexiest man of the year anytime soon. Especially now, I got braids in. My hairline is kind of wild. I'm just like fuck it. I'm just old. I'm just that old ninja with cornrows, looking super unk status, and there's gray in it too. It's just like fuck it, just unk status. I'm gonna cut this shit eventually if I can find a cheap enough barber to maintain it. But right now we just unk status. So yeah. And I appreciate everybody being here. How long we been streaming? Get a shape up. That's it. So I just get like a Caesar. I'm gonna just go back to the standard unk ass Caesar and say fuck it. Gotta wax your chin. Just want the mustache. Fair enough. I gotta shave. I hate my facial hair. It doesn't even grow right. I wish I could just grow a beard. I just rock the goatee. I have never tried. I never have and never will. Even if I start to grow and get more pop, I'm not talking nobody in a mask. Like, that sounds crazy. That sounds almost borderline creepy, so I would never want to do that. Even if I got popular, like, it's the brand and motherfuckers just hanging on because of that. Like, nah. If you don't know who the fuck I am in real life, I'm not about to try to talk to you. It works. That, but still, that's just weird. I hoped you were, but I don't know. I just figured I'd also say it. I just feel like that's weird to be an anonymous person, but somebody wants what the fuck. Like, that's crazy. And I just guess it's just to reiterate it, because who knows? I've been on this platform for 6 years. If I had if I would edit clips out of these streams, I may be further along than what I am. I don't. I probably should, but a lot of times I don't be finding this shit interesting enough to clip out. Texas Steakhouse Massacre. You talk about the other vigilante and Question or whatever weird shit they had going on? Or you talk about some other shit I don't know about? The Texas Steakhouse Massacre. Shout out to the bots on Kicking Twitch. Just checking just in case. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just rocking the braid. I'm going to rock the braid for a little bit. Yup. Maybe next time I'll try a different style. But yep. I'm trying to see if I want to get out of here. You want a steak? Shout out to the steak. Appreciate you still being here, Tom Jensen. If I didn't say hey. I guess I'll go till we got 15 minutes to an hour and a half. We'll go another 15 minutes. But I am probably gonna get out here in a little bit. Just giving you all that fair warning. Shit was nuts. What was happening? Did he call you? Cause I listen. I still don't. For the longest time I thought he was you. So I still don't know what the fuck is going on with this question and all these motherfuckers. Sound like they got almost an AI thing. I don't know who, or maybe it is his voice. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on between all these quote unquote DC characters. Did he say he in Chicago, he in Michigan, he in this area, that area? What the fuck? Is he just what is this? Okay, for reality's sake, not joke stuff off the internet. What the fuck is actually going on? I don't even understand. So yeah. And shout out to the question. Check his channel out. He's got I asked the question. I asked him about jazz. He said, called you was just a bunch of hoes. That's crazy. That's crazy. So he had to be out and about with something. That's crazy work. It is a lot of pretty women in Texas, man. That's something I gotta agree with. So that motivates me to try to, at least give it a try, right? Because there are some pretty girls. I don't know anything about their personalities. They might be toxic. And I know they can't drive. Good Lord. But there's some pretty girls out here. Golly. And I don't know if it's just because I work at home and I be, but but I know I'm going to the gym. It's what the fuck? So I'm going to read my new manga. My girlfriend's 8 meters tall. Holy shit. They're 24 feet. Volume 2. I've waited for it for months. You like the tall chicks or you just like that manga? Happy dinosaur. I guess you're a dinosaur, so you prefer them a little bit taller, right? Dating Athena, that's crazy. 8 meters tall, that's crazy. That's a crazy mind. But yeah, that's kind of why I can never really get all the way into anime and manga. That there's just that, don't get into it like that. There's an obligatory sexualized thing. I saw, y'all know I doom scroll. I saw something on this. I guess it's called an OVA called Gunsmith Cast. And it looked interesting, but then when you watch more of it, it's okay, it's just here's the obligatory chick in their underwear scene. It's I'm not, necessarily looking for this. But whatever. I mean, the short chicks in general don't mind tall lady every now and then. I see half the manga out there. Yeah, that's what it seems like. A lot of manga out there is just the author's fetish with no disguise. You can't confirm it is his voice. Okay. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with the question and those characters. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with anime and some of that stuff. I know every anime is not freaked out like that and perverted, but enough of them are that it keeps me scaring. It scares me off. Anime is like horror. Either you love it or you're not. Fair enough. Manga is worse than Marvel and Paul. No manga is worse than Marvel and Paul. Shout out to Paul. Which, yeah, that's a pretty bad self-insert. Like I said, how are you down so bad that you had you got a crush on a character? You took another dude's girl and neither of them are real. That's crazy. So you so obsessed with a fictional man that you wrote yourself dating his girl and neither of them are real. That's crazy. Who's Paul? Paul's a self-insert who I don't know if he still is, but in the comics at one point was dating Mary Jane. or married to Mary. I think it was just dating Mary Jane from Spider-Man lore. So, but it was like a self-insert type character. So again, the writer had such a crush on Mary Jane that he made a character like himself. That Paul, yes, that Paul. Is where how it happens so random and they multiplying every so often. Yeah, that's crazy work. The reason is they couldn't have Peter get back MJ, so they would have to do the Paul line storyline. You know what would have been a better idea? It's not having Peter Parker sell his soul to the devil to resurrect his aunt and just let her die. That would have been a much better idea. But I don't work at Marvel, so and it doesn't matter what they do with the character as long as they put a movie out, put a T-shirt out, put an action figure out, people buy it. So it doesn't matter. We can get mad at it. No one cares. It doesn't matter. They'll toss out Tom Holland in a new movie this year. It'll make like 800, 900 million. He'll be kind of mid, and who would care? No one would care. Gwen Stacy now she's going to be Spider-Man for the future generation. 30 years, she's going to be Spider-Man. Hardly ever go to modern comics unless to spread the glory of Dr. Doom. Shout out to Dr. Doom. Shout out to MF Doom. David DC. Have you seen? I have not seen Noob Saibot in Houston. That'd be cool to actually. I would love to like come across him. That'd be dope as fuck. And generally read older comics from the 80s to 2014. Makes me feel old to see 2014 considered old, but it is now 12 years old, so it is what it is. It is what it is. You sent it to me? Okay, I need to check it out. Or maybe I did check it out, didn't realize it was Houston. Houston's the biggest place I've ever been. Apparently it's the size of Connecticut. Just the city in the area. And there's a shit ton of cons. There was a con this weekend with like Mick Foley and a bunch of other people. I think Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad. There was a bunch of other people there. I'm like, shit, man. I wish I would have known. I don't sometimes joke about Mick Foley. I got a decent, shitty Mankind cosplay. I could have wore. I need to get Really, I didn't know Bendis is so notorious for his fall off. I didn't know he had anything good. I still want to see him. I'm not gonna ask him about Trump, even though I think that's crazy. He cared more about Trump than his own body, but whatever. Them throwing him off a cage. He went back to WWE the next day, but Trump says something and he goes away. It's like, okay, man, that's kind of gay, but whatever, man. He still was Mankind. He still was a legend to me. I still turned over to see him win the title because I couldn't believe that shit was happening because he wasn't even thought of as that was a surprise championship that works. Why didn't you leave in 2016? Okay, Fizz said, I forgot to mention, I saw Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die in theaters on opening weekend. What did you think? Spoiler free if you can. But what did you think? But yeah, I can still, listen, I don't know how many people in Houston want to see him. This is not, Houston is big enough for all types, right? There's still, even in a city, even in a state that's predominantly red, in the city of Houston is so big, you're still gonna have enough blue people who think what he did is brave, all that performative shit he does on Twitter. It would have sucked if I would have went there and all he starts talking about is politics. Then I'd have felt like, oh man, But now if he's, I just want to ask him about Mr. Sacco and shit. You know what I mean? Ask him about TNA. Ask him about how winning the championship, shit like that. I wouldn't want to talk to him about ice and shit. Oh man, you see what's going on in Minnesota? Okay, man. Just sign the mask and let me just get out of here. Brian Michael Bendis is hit or miss writer. He'd be great or terrible. It was like a satire of modern society. I see. I've been hearing people hate on Bender since before it was a thing. Yeah, even when he was a little kid and the dude still has a job. Well, maybe he's got enough hits to keep it going. Because it's so many people. It's so hard to get a hit. So even if he's hit or miss, even though like I feel like you when you hear Brian Michael Bendis, you usually think of something bad. It's a satire of modern society. Was it a good satire? Was it an entertaining one? And was it poignant and all that other good stuff? And isn't modern society a satire in and of itself? Do we, I don't know. But yeah, similarly, I never hear anything positive about Bendis. I don't care how much hits you got. You fuck up Spider-Man, you got to go. Well, Marvel shouldn't exist then. Shit. His Superman run was horrible. I'll admit that. I just know of him as I don't know all his different runs. But hey, if you found something that was decent, whatever it is, just fuck with it. But yeah, I definitely, listen, I'm not saying I can't remember everything I've ever read. I'm a mid comic fan, right? I'm not the biggest comic fan. You said, right, you're right, Marvel should go out of business. Well, they're working on it. We'll really know after this year if Marvel's going out of business. They have a bad year this year. They won't be too far away from it. The movie portrayed school shootings as normal. The government had a secret facility to create faulty clones of the kids who got killed. That's wild work. That's wild. So normal. That's crazy. It's like a crazy ass concept for the movie. Marvel's been trying to kill itself, but Disney won't let it die. Disney even also been trying to kill itself, but I guess the investors won't let it die. And the Disney adults won't let it die. I mean, how much money? The Disney adult thing's got to die out because of the economy. Who has money to go to Disneyland and spend a bunch of money on funnel cakes and shit? Like, you know what I mean? Wasn't even the main concept. It was just a plot device. I see. Well, what'd you, without any more spoilers, what did you think of the movie? Did you think it was good or bad or weird or something that had a lot going on? And now I'm looking up Disney adults. Have you ever seen? I think I've sent you stuff, Richard, but like these Disney adults are, I'm not trying to bash anybody, right? I got tons of action figures and tons of stuff myself, but there's some strange folks, man. It ain't kind of sad. It's very sad, to be honest. I see there's a cringe comp. We'll give this a try, and hopefully we'll see how good or bad this is. It's only from a couple years ago. No, hold on. Don't rush the shit. Don't rush a pimp or me. So let's check something. That's not the thing I'm looking for. There we go. All right, let's check out some Disney adult cringe.
Run.
The Disney ride is shut down after a man farts on it. This wild event took place on Living with the Land yesterday. The smell was so nauseating, guests got out of their boat while it was moving. This forced Disney to shut down, evacuate, and restart the ride. For the full story, click the link in our bio or visit mousetrapnews.com.
Okay, this is movie. I should have been pausing in between this. This is wild. This is a lot of wild stuff. First off, what happened to Splash Mountain? Second off, kid and her, listen, I shout out to her and her son. Somebody who's, if she wants to wear the glitter bow, I guess I wear a mask. I can't really talk shit, but that's strange. People being so nasty that when they poop, everybody got to get out the fucking boat is wild. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but it probably is.
It was moving. This forced Disney to shut down
That's crazy work. Okay, what else do we got?
Strepnews.com.
That's Small World? You can't walk through the castle?
No.
No.
Space Mountain. This looks like the Matterhorn bobsled.
SpongeBob in his clothes?
Okay,
Why?
I'm starting to
You can't hold the gun?
not care about how not interested in
Pick up
shit.
the cover.
Okay, I've already lost interest in this shit. I don't think I want to go to Disney anymore. When I was a kid, I did, but like I'm not a big amusement park guy. I'll skim through it because there's some more weird shit. Because this bitch is crying. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to bash people for having fandoms, right? But there is something weird going on, right? Like, there's something not quite right about this Disney adult phenomenon, which, again, I think economically may die out anyway. Am I wrong or am I right? Like, am I stepping? I do see a pattern if we're talking about demographics. Six Flags is better. I'm not a big amusement park guy because I'm not a big ride guy, but outside of the rides, I don't really know what there is for an amusement park to have. I know there's other stuff, right? You got the games and the junk food and, the more simple rides that don't really do as much. Maybe they have like the interactive shows. Maybe they have those like rides that are part movie, part ride, that move around, and those could be fun. But otherwise, I'm not I don't understand the draw personally of being, especially Disney. Like if I was the guy that like roller coasters, yeah, I'm going to Six Flags or shout out to Ohio, Cedar Point or something like that. But I was shout out to Charlotte. I lived basically near Carowinds, which is the amusement park they have there. Never went, didn't go one time. And I mean, when I say I live near it, I fucking rode by it no short of like hundreds of times. No short of hundreds of times. Sometimes if you was during the summer and it was a Saturday, sometimes there would be a line on that little street going towards 77. So it was good. Some of the CGI towards the end was dodgy. Fair enough. I like the Disney Princess Funko Pops. It's a pre-vision for you had a daughter. Okay, fair enough. Funny story, NPR wanted to buy a Glub Shitto for Marvel Comics for $20K back in 2008. And what's a Glub Shitto? I don't know what that is. Sorry, our Glub Shittos were more than you could possibly think. Let's see. See a pattern. NPR bought the public domain superhero Microface, rebooting him as Mysterio Microface. I never heard. You talking about NPR, like National Public Radio? I never heard any of this. That's crazy work. Splash Mountain. Brooke Lopez? No, not Brooke Lopez. Disney adults are so pathetic they make anime fans look tough by comparison. Yeah, there's something weird. There's something mentally not there. I would say good luck. They'll have fun. Don't die. Kind of feels like a Rick and Morty episode I see. I'll stick with Lagoon, says Tom Jensen. And Happy Dinosaur says, no, Vigilante. Disney adults will sell their pancreas to go into debt for a $40,000 Mickey Mouse latte at Disney. Yeah, they always do something. Like they always Instagram flexing the weird food and all that shit. That's crazy. And I know you're exaggerating with $40K, but they'll spend a decent amount of money on some of this slop. And it just, it It's just so weird. It's not just Disney adults. I mean, we talked. There's a lot of talk about the cost of wrestling tickets, right? And I'm only shocked that people are finally not paying the prices, because year after year, people were paying these inflated prices, and finally, enough people are not paying that there's a problem. I actually saw that, speaking of events, the All-Star game, or I don't know if it was All-Star or dunk contest, one of those venues, one of those events did not have a packed house anywhere close to it. We were finally starting to see people not do these things. I think it's just because they're priced out. I think if people could, they're so addicted to certain brands, And listen, I'm not gonna act like I still watch sports content just to have something on, because everything is so fucking negative. I need something to, like an old person, I need something to play in the background, to be background noise while I get stuff done. And a lot of that is sports content, just for the better or for worse. Just to be there, right? Yeah, a year's income isn't worth WrestleMania. No, especially when you consider, I'm in Houston. Shout out to Houston, the home of WrestleMania X7, the greatest WrestleMania of all time, ? One of, right? And it didn't cost a year's salary to go to that Mania. It didn't probably cost a year's salary to sit up front row to see The Rock and Austin and TLC 2 and all these great matches, these classic matches. So why does it cost this much to see, I like Roman Reigns and Cody, but, after that, see Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley, they're cool. But I don't like them as much as I like The Rock. I don't like them as much as I like Road Dogg and Mr. Ass. I don't like them as much as I like X-Pac or Kane or Raven or Maven. Shit. It's just like I miss the old days. I miss when you had like levels of stars and you had star characters at every level. And I think it's just harder for wrestling to fill that many people. Even though we got more people on Earth, how many people are even in shape? We're starting, shout out to Gen Z. Apparently you guys are some of the most health conscious generations, and thank God that pendulum is swinging. Even while they're starting to poison the good foods, they're starting to poison the animals and the vegetables, and make sure they grow up with phosphates and all this other bullshit. But even as they're doing that, you guys are still trying to be health conscious. Lord knows it's mostly Gen Z in that damn gym. A lot of broccoli hair. I heard about the broccoli hair guy who spends all day on the machine, and now I'm dealing with it. But not too much, not too bad. I'm still able to get through most of my workout. But I do sometimes got to work around. There's no way I can do the same workout in the same order all the time. They say you should, but it's just like I can't, because it's just too many people. Too many people. There's no time of day where at least one of the machines are not going to get held up to where I got to either do an alternative or wait and work around it. So it's just the way it is. The way it is. Let's see. Look it up. Mysterious Microface NPR podcast Planet Money bought a public domain superhero after Marvel gave him the finger. Did you have to buy a public domain superhero? Can't you just do something with it? And yeah, 2 years too late. Yeah, people pay good money to see these past manias, and it's like, okay, man. Yeah, we'll need an audiobook, something. And, maybe that's what I should be doing is reading more audiobooks. Maybe that's me fucking up. I don't want to be a modernist, but the Coney Mania has to be ranked high. It's cool. Like I was a huge fan. I definitely thought WrestleMania 40 was a classic Mania, which the solid number ones tend to be, right. So I definitely thought that was a classic main. It took advantage of the 2-night main event. Getting to see The Rock again was cool. Having that Rock Roman, that was. But it was almost Endgame. You know what I mean? As people kind of compared it to Avengers Endgame, but people compared it to Avengers Endgame with all the different interferences. It kind of was like that as well, because once that story was told, it wasn't just finishing Cody's story. We kind of finished the Bloodline story. And yes, we still got it with Fatu and all that stuff, but that really finished that real main story, and now it's like it hasn't really been much since. But I would rank that high. I would rank Roman Reigns' run high because of how hard it was all we do is talk about brands that are not as successful, even as WWE is now, let alone what they were then. And to get through the pandemic and come out shining like WWE was able to, I mean, you got to give Roman Reigns his credit for that. That's why they try to compare it to CM Punk's reign. I mean, that's cute. Come on, man. Like, don't make me do this to you. CM Punk's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but don't make me do this to you, bro. I don't care how many times you defended against Dolph Ziggler that hadn't even got established yet, hadn't even done some of his best work yet. Or, the only interesting storyline was really the Jericho one, and then the Rock one into the... Yeah, you had that great match with Cena after you lost it on Raw. You had tons of good matches, and then that next run year after. But his championship run, that 434-day run, it was cool. It was cool that they gave it to him. But there's a reason he didn't main event a lot of stuff. So it's just like, man, there's levels to this shit. And sometimes even when you're on the top level, there's still levels to this shit. And, CM Punk, I'm not going to say he's not a top guy or hasn't been a top guy. But there's levels. He's not, he's not on the Cena level. He may be above other people. No disrespect to Jey Uso and those type of guys. But, yeah, he's a few levels above that. But, yeah. So, WrestleMania, they wanted to own a hero, didn't understand, didn't want to go open-handed. I see. But again, I don't know if you gotta pay for it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maven Lowell. Okay, I'm missing comments. I think if Bad Bunny was a perfect middle finger troll, those NFL fans wasting the stadium. When they announced Bad Bunny, I had no idea it would be controversial. I thought, okay, there's a guy, it's so hard to get somebody that a lot of people like. We have a monoculture, or we don't have a monoculture anymore, right? There's no Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, or, even a Metallica, or just something where there's 20 million people who are fans. There's so few people like that, and Bad Bunny's pretty popular. But I had no idea, this would be some controversy. Like, what the fuck? I mean, and again, it's the fucking NFL halftime show. When did we start taking this seriously anyway? We used to not. There's something about the last... I blame the millennials to some extent. Just that hero worship. Oh, this big brand has done something, so it's important. No, it's not. Who gives a fuck? It's just something else you can change the TV channel to or from. It's not that big of a fucking deal. Yeah, Maven. All his faults, at least Vince wanted to keep it affordable. That is something Vince did. How much money? Think about how affordable tickets were, how affordable the WWE network was. And Vince McMahon was still crashing Bentleys. How much money was he making off of what he was doing? And how much money are they making now that they've taxed everybody to shit? He was lit, and I'm not joking about him crashing. What was it, Bentley or Rolls Royces? He crashed like 3 or 4 of them. He was literally living the shit pimp. See, he was talking about like smash it, the gray one bought me a red. He kept crashing Rolls Royces, literally, because he old and he wanted to drive a Rolls Royce. At least 2 or 3 times he crashed. You can look it up. And he was making so much money when they was charging so much less, and you could get a pay-per-view for $10 a month and get everything they were doing plus everything on NXT. He was able to fund all of this shit and still again be able to smash up as many luxury cars as he wanted to, trick on bitches, live a crazy life, and be a multi-billionaire. And he was charging way less, and they taxed it. You can only imagine how much money they make. Well, it started to fall off, but they was making some crazy money. Crazy money. Like unfathomable. But I ain't got their books. Thank you, Vigilante. Richard sent me something I'll check out in a second. Wanted to make your hair look different. Again, you on diet. That's what's up. They want to own superhero going hand-to-hand. I see. 40 is the WrestleMania 40 ended the WWE. Interesting take. Cody being the ending, if it was a movie, makes perfect sense. Solo Sokoa arc is just DLC. Exactly, yeah. Am I having fun? I think so. I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but I'm having fun. That's why I'm streaming. We might get out here in a little bit, but I'm pretty tired. But it's cool. I appreciate y'all being here, man. Appreciate y'all being. It's cool as you being here because I know it's not, you're not always able to be here, so it's cool as you are. Guy who got better after losing the world heavyweight champ was Damian Priest and having Cap there. They haven't really done much with him. They lost their ability to keep multiple feuds going on. I don't know why they were so good in the Attitude era. They were even good in the New Generation era or the Hogan era, the Hogan 80s era. From the 80s into the Ruthless Aggression era, they could have a main event feud and 2 or 3 other feuds that weren't main event but that were still cool. And they just don't know how to do that anymore. They don't know how to book an undercard feud. And as a result, when somebody's not in the championship main event, they seem like they're not doing anything. And that's for the men and the women. They lost that ability. And maybe it's because they're focused too much on the women. But I don't think it's that. I really don't think it's that. I'll just toss that out kind of arbitrarily. I think it's just they don't really invest that time. Oh, you tossed out Mr. Ass. Oh, man. They just don't put that time in to invest in those undercard feuds. Some of the big corporations, I know they would kill you for extra help with the pocket change. Yeah, unfortunately. The whole space pay-per-view thing reminds me of gaming companies pushing $70 game to kill it industry. Yeah. And it's funny because we did have pay-per-views, but, I mean, traditionally they were still, $20, $30. When you start going 60, 70, 80, I mean, sheesh. When they were $20, you had 2 other friends, you chip in $10. You could get a hot and ready, you know what I mean? If you were in the 2000s, you wanted to watch a WWE pay-per-view, you had a couple buddies. I mean, y'all chip in a couple bucks together. You get to watch a pay-per-view, get a hot and ready, something to drink, and you got a cool little, you can hang out, you know what I mean? Cool little Sunday night, you know what I mean? A cool little Sunday night with you and your homies. And not for a lot of money, you know what I mean? Y'all each came out $15, if that. You know what I mean? And you're like, all right, if you was a fan, you was willing to do it. That's this modern economy is just basing itself on that top 10%, and that's it. They don't give a fuck about the rest of us. They don't give a fuck about us trying to survive. They're gonna just, take every fucking dime we can get and leave us with nothing. They don't give a shit. And so certain things we just not gonna buy. Games maybe one of them. Tickets maybe one of them. Even if you wanted to, a lot of things are gonna fuck up because of that, for overcharging. It's not the women. Yeah, they don't know what to do with them either. Yeah, it's not the women. I ain't gonna blame the women. I mean, you could say that the resources they would invest in a mid-card feud instead of doing the women's thing, but they don't even know how to book a feud that's not for a championship anymore. And that's why you have people just disappear because they're not in feuds where you should have main event, like the actual main event as far as the championship of either brand. Then you should have 2 other main eventers who are in a feud who are not competing for the championship. Then you should have an IC feud or US, depending on the brand. Then other motherfuckers who are not in that but are in that class in a feud, in a non-title feud. And then a tag team and maybe even a tag team feud, women's. But now they got all these women belts. The reason they added the belts because they didn't know how to book a feud that didn't have the belt. And so it gave them an excuse. Oh, we could get more women on TV if we have a mid-card and a tag. But then you don't book those properly. Instead of just having a second feud, and maybe you could have did a tag because there was a bunch of teams you should have did a tag with. Maybe a tag is ironically a little bit more justifiable than a mid-card. But in either event, you got to book feuds that are interesting, that get characters over, that don't always involve belts. And you got to book good for the belts. But then when you build people up, then when they get to a belt, it's like, oh, okay, it's dope. Yo, I used to watch, throughout the whole 10s, I was watching Watch Wrestling. And it used to work. No problem. And then I was watching through XBMC or Cody. I had a little device that I bought on Amazon for like $30. It's like a streaming device. I used to be able to watch everything. I used to watch SmackDown, Raw, New Japan. I used to watch everything. I used to watch so much wrestling. All I did was watch, literally. All right, peace out, Happy Dinosaur. Good night to you as well. I would say between the years of 2010 and 2015, I almost, well, no, I ain't gonna say 2010 and 2015. I'll say 2013 and 2014, 2015, 2016. I literally only watched DCAU in wrestling. I had the whole DCAU on DVD. I would watch it in loop, smoke weed, and just watch wrestling and watch DCAU shit. And then, depending on the year, and around then I was probably trying to lose weight the first time, so to speak. The fans suck. I feel so bad for Jade Cargill and Stephanie McCurry. Yeah, the fan. I said this. Questioner said this. I want to know, why do people keep saying Jade can't wrestle? Like, what woman wrestler is so great? Even like motherfucking Tiffy Time didn't botch. All these women botch. Almost all of them. Vicur, well, I haven't watched Vicur recently. I don't remember her to be a botcher. Her and the Japanese women. There's a few that don't botch, but I don't understand why this idea that Jade can't wrestle. She does make mistakes, but all these women make mistakes. None of these women are that smooth. I don't hear anybody complain about Dom as Dom does defend the belts. And listen, they both should be defending the belts, but they're not. Every woman roster in a random tag team and a women's rumble was disgusting. It's very good question. Is Tiffy Time better than Eve Torres? Is she really? A modernist will tell you so. But it's funny because I don't really think they liked Tiffy Time until Jade got the belt. I felt like they really was shitting on Tiffy Time. Now they trying to act like they liked her when they really didn't. You right, the fans don't like Vicur. They should have bought Booker T up with her, because apparently that was the only thing that was getting her over for real, was her ass and her doing the little devil's kiss thing. That was the only thing getting her over. And now she's fucked. So, I don't know what to do with these fans. I would hate to be a wrestling writer right now. I would hate. You said the modernist wasn't there when Eve was doing booty popping moonsaults. Fair enough. Booker T was voted worst announcer, rightfully so. They say that, but that was the only reason Vicur was over. I mean, Booker T is what he is. You know what I mean? He's not crisp and smooth announcer, but he's a character announcer, right? And so sometimes he's entertaining. Sometimes he's not. Should have never left CMLL. I don't necessarily disagree. I think there's a lot of truth in that, but pun not intended, you know, people want to expand and all that good shit. You don't like his character? Fair enough. Fair enough. All that said, we went a little further than I thought. We got to 2 hours. That's cool. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. We're not quite to 2 hours. We got over an hour and a half. Way too much going to act your age. That's true. But that was the only thing that people cared about. In any event, it's been real. It's been fun. Been real fun. Maybe we'll do some more streams throughout the week. Maybe a little earlier than this late night thing. Hopefully I can get I just haven't had the time. I had this home buying stuff work. And try to get to the gym with the little free time I got. Then I got to finish this album. So I got shit to do, but I'm going to try to get this Fallout shit working. I paid for it, right? So it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of this, none of these things, you just sat here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night. God bless. Peace out, Tom, Jensen, Fizz, and everybody else. Richard, Brandon, everybody else, happy dinosaur. Have a happy night. Happy Valentine's Day. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. All right. Peace.